This audiobook revelation unveils the hidden current of the **Forbidden's 33rd degree ** knowledge whispered in guarded circles and sealed behind ancient vows of silence. As you listen, expect no mere tale of mystery, but a reawakening of memory long buried beneath the noise of modern thought. Within these words flow the harmonics of creation itself, the breath behind every heartbeat, the frequency that arranges light into matter and thought into form. If you have found this message, it is not by chance but by resonance. You were summoned by the same current that guided the sages of forgotten ages to lift the veil for those prepared to remember. Deep within the sanctum of your own awareness rests a truth so luminous that few dare to hold its gaze. You are not a fragment of the universe peering outward. You are the universe gazing back upon itself through human eyes. What unfolds here has never required secrecy. It required maturity. Until now, the world did not hum at a pitch high enough to translate infinity into words. But you are ready, and readiness itself was the missing key. Beyond every ritual, technique, or proclamation lies the real architecture of manifestation, the pulse of your own inner frequency. Each thought you permit, each emotion you nurture, shapes the invisible lattice from which your visible world condenses. Movement in the unseen precedes every miracle in the seen. Once understood, even a whisper within your mind becomes an instrument of creation, a brushstroke upon the canvas of existence. The initiates of all mystery paths hinted at this. Simplicity is the final secret. The immature demanded symbols. The wise discovered silence. You are both student and scripture, seeker and source. The law that governs attraction has never been a charm to invoke, but an essence awakening within you, the magnetic rhythm of consciousness learning to behold itself. Inside these chapters you will not be taught. You will be reminded. Knowledge turns to embodiment. Belief transfigures into being. Each sentence is a rung leading from concept to remembrance, from striving to realization. As you cross this threshold, breathe once with intention. Feel the current that has carried these truths through centuries now stir within your chest. This is the moment the forbidden becomes familiar, the hidden becomes home, and the universe speaks your own name back to you. Chapter 1. The breath between worlds. In a coastal village where dawn arrived like a whispered promise, Amara kept a small glass atelier beside the sea. Her days were spent shaping molten sand into vessels that shimmered with inner light. Travelers bought her work for its beauty, but sailors returned for another reason. They swore the bottles carried a warmth that guided them safely through storms. No one knew that. Before each firing, Amara would close her eyes and breathe her calm into the flame. She had learned from the tides that rhythm governs all creation. Inhale, exhale, rise, fall, and that everything born of harmony remembers its source. One evening, as crimson clouds surrendered to dusk, a frustrated apprentice threw down his half-formed vase. It cracks each time I try. Heat betrays me. Amara touched the fractured glass gently. The flame cannot betray. It only echoes your breath. She motioned for him to still his racing thoughts. Together they breathed slow, unhurried, deep. The next vessel emerged flawless. As if the glass itself forgave him. So begins the first discipline of forbiddance. Knowledge. What you create is the music of your momentum. Thought is vibration. Emotion is resonance. And the body is the instrument through which the invisible becomes visible, until these three sing in tune. Results appear chaotic, as if the universe itself were undecided. Yet the cosmos is never confused. It mirrors the song you play. When Amara worked in irritation, her glass dimmed. When she worked in reverence, it gleamed as though lit from within. The difference was not in her technique, but in her tone. Every craft, every conversation, every heartbeat participates in this subtle physics. Frequency first, form second. Pause now and sense the delicate hum beneath your thoughts. That hum is origin. It is the river you mistake for silence. Alignment with it does not demand effort but remembrance. The heart remembers easily when the mind stops arguing. To grasp this principle is to cease forcing reality into shape and to begin allowing it to crystallize. Desire is not a shove against the world. It is gravity in disguise, attraction seeking symmetry. The more gently you hold it, the faster it moves toward completion. Across mountains far from Amara's shore lived Darren, a craftsman weighed by failure. Each morning he recited affirmations, each night he analyzed his defeats. Still, the orders never came. At last, exhausted, he walked to the village spring with no intention but to rest. Gazing at the water, he saw his reflection ripple with every breath. "So even I am a wave," he whispered. That single recognition loosened the knots within him. He returned to his work not to prove himself, but to play. Within weeks, commissions arrived from unexpected patrons. Creation had never withheld from him. It had simply waited for his rhythm to match its own. You are not a mind attempting to influence matter. You are the field translating infinity into visible sequence. Every thought is a pebble cast into that field, producing ripples that travel beyond distance and time. Some call these ripples coincidence. The adept calls them design. Matter rearranges not through command, but through coherence. The question, therefore, is never asterisk, how do I make this happen? But asterisk, what vibration am I repeating? Asterisk, when the answer is anxiety, reality scrambles in anxious obedience. When the answer is serenity, it aligns with grace. The universe, impartial and exquisite, cannot reject the frequency you broadcast. Its only function is mirroring. The ancients depicted this understanding as a pair of mirrors, facing each other, consciousness reflecting truth until infinity multiplies. Stand between those mirrors long enough and you realize there was never reflection and reflector, only light, echoing itself. To live in awareness of this is to enter mastery's threshold where even your smallest thought becomes sacred. Architecture. A careless phrase bends beams. A grateful whisper restores the symmetry. Find a quiet seat where natural sound exists, the rhythm of traffic, the heartbeat of rain, or the pulse of your own breath. For 1 minute, listen without naming. For the second, notice the silence beneath those sounds. For the third, feel yourself becoming both sound and silence. For the fourth, whisper inwardly, asterisk, the world breathes because I breathe. Asterisk, this practice tunes perception to the hidden conversation between your frequency and the universe's reply. Soon, you'll recognize that every flicker of circumstance is simply your own vibration returning home. Control ceases when comprehension begins. Once you feel creation unfolding from within your breath, the obsession with managing outcomes dissolves. You stop pleading with the cosmos and begin partnering with it. Prayer evolves into participation. Intention becomes communion. In that communion, miracles feel logical because logic itself expands to include wonder. As you end this reading, close your eyes for one slow breath, the same breath shared by Amara's flame, the sea outside her door, and the infinite lattice humming behind your every heartbeat. Inhale the unseen, exhale existence. The light has already heard you. Chapter 2. The loom of light at the edge of a desert city. Beyond the scent of spice and sand, stood a weaving hall filled with quiet miracle workers. Among them labored Nalan, a young artisan whose carpets seemed to shimmer even in shade. Customers would trace their fingers across his designs, uncertain whether color changed under their touch or within their eyes. He told them it was simple dye and pattern, but privately he knew otherwise. He had learned to see sound from childhood. Nalan had noticed that every word left a tint in the air. Anger stained crimson and heavy. Praise glowed gold. Silence gleamed silver like morning dew. When his mentor scoffed at his imagination, Nalan learned the convenience of secrecy. Yet each night, beneath oil lamp flicker, he would hum as he wove, matching the tone in his throat to the emotion in his heart. The threads listened. Beauty was born. One day a scholar from the capital demanded the formula for the cloth's radiance, certain it must involve minerals or clandestine fire. Nalan only smiled. "Master," said the scholar, "the world runs on science, not sorcery." Nalan placed a single strand of uncolored silk in the man's palm. "Then sing to it," he replied. The scholar laughed, but as he muttered disbelief, the thread dulled. Nalan took it back, breathed softly, whispered gratitude, and the strand regained its luster. Thus begins the teaching of the loom of light. Vibration responds to awareness with unerring obedience. Every perception is participation. Every observation alters that which is observed. Eyes draw patterns on existence as surely as looms weave silk. The cloth of reality, therefore, carries your fingerprints of thought. When you recognize this, blame and accident lose their kingdom. The moment you name an event as misfortune, you tighten its threads. When you name it instruction, the weave relaxes to reveal a larger design. Perception is not passive, it is the cosmic stylus etching pattern into possibility. Consider a sunrise viewed through different windows. To the sailor, promise. To the farmer, forecast. To the prisoner, reminder. To the poet, prayer. The same light, but 15 different worlds depending on who receives it. It is not the light that varies, it is the receiver's frequency that colors it. Hold this truth. Sensation is sacred language. Every sound, hue, and texture is data from the divine. Translated by your emotional state. When peace reigns, perception clarifies. When fear reigns, the translation falters. Therefore, spiritual mastery begins not in temples but in calibration of seeing. For 3 days, treat every object as conscious witness. Greet your chair, your cup, your mirror. When you touch them, imagine they hum faint responses. Notice the subtle shift of energy that follows. You will begin to perceive texture differently, the world growing intimate, almost affectionate. It always was. You are merely hearing its language again. The story of Sasha in the northern province lived Sasha, a musician burdened by deafness after illness. Believing her art lost, she sank into grief until one evening she felt rhythm returning not through ears, but through skin. Walls pulsed under her fingertips. The ground carried vibrations of carts. The heartbeat of a companion became her metronome. She began composing by touch, fingers tracing invisible scores across air. Audiences later swore that when she performed, hearts synchronized to her tempo. Sasha proved that absence can become instrument. When one doorway closes, awareness reassigns perception elsewhere. The law of correspondence never sleeps. Energy will always find translation. For those willing to listen without expectation, harmonic observation, what you observe lovingly, harmonizes. What you observe fearfully, fragments. The act itself, observation, remains neutral. Your tone determines outcome. Hence the phrase whispered among initiates, the gaze is a wand. Expectancy combined with appreciation reshapes probability faster than any chant. To look with wonder is to invite order. To look with judgment is to rehearse disorder. Your eyes are architects. They draft the geometry of experience on every glance. Realize this and you wield the quiet power once called the magician's sight. Stand before your reflection at night. Do not correct, evaluate, or admire. Simply look while inhaling slowly. Notice that the reflected breath fogs the glass and clears again. Whisper, asterisk, I witness the witness. Asterisk, observe how your shoulders soften. How an invisible bridge opens between seer and seen. That bridge is perception becoming prayer. When dawn comes, repeat the ritual, but replace the mirror with the horizon. Breathe the same phrase. By week's end, the boundary between self and sky will feel porous. You will realize observation itself is the universe awakening to its own artistry. Reality is woven of attention. To change the pattern, shift the gaze that weaves it. The forbidden adepts preserve this simplicity behind veils of metaphor so that only the humble would pierce it. For humility quiets distortion. Great power hides in gentleness. One serene mind steadies 1,000 frantic ones. The way a single true note retunes an orchestra. Now, as you finish this section, let your listening stretch outward until you can almost hear the pulse of stars behind silence. They are not distant. They vibrate to the same formula as your heartbeat, asterisk, asterisk, frequency seeking form, asterisk, asterisk. The loom awaits the next thread, your next thought. Choose it with grace. Chapter 3. The echo that creates in a mountain town ringed with cedar and mist lived Karo, a bell maker whose chimes were unlike any others. No matter where they hung, temple portico, vineyard gate, fishers' raft, they harmonized with the wind so perfectly that travelers said time itself paused to listen. When asked how he tuned them, Karo would smile. I don't, he said. The wind finds its own note through me. As a boy, he had discovered something wondrous. While polishing a half-cast bell, he hummed absent-mindedly. The metal answered him first faintly, then with surging clarity. They conversed in resonance, voice and bronze, maker and made. Kara realized sound was not produced. It was remembered, released from potential into form by mutual recognition. Years later, when an apprentice begged for his secret, Karo placed a hand over the young man's throat. Your voice is the key. When you speak without presence, the tone scatters. When you speak from the core, matter obeys. This is the law of resonant creation. The world echoes the pitch of your certainty. Words spoken from doubt command nothing. Words breath through alignment rearrange circumstance. The secret priests encoded this in simple imagery: bell and voice, vessel and vibration, because sound is the earliest bridge between thought and manifestation. Even now, modern instruments reveal what mystics intuited: patterns of sand dancing into symmetry under steady tone, water spiraling under music. The same occurs in the unseen lattice of mind. Thought is sonic geometry before it becomes experience. One dry summer, a storm approached the town. Most merchants slammed their shutters. Karo went to the riverbank carrying bronze cups and bowls. As thunder built, he struck each vessel softly with a wooden rod until the rising wind tuned itself to his rhythm. When the first drops fell, the storm calm not vanished, but softened into steady rain. The next day an elder asked if he had tamed it. No, he said, I greeted it in its own language. The language was frequency. The lesson was union. Before you speak desire aloud, let emotion settle to sincerity. Then let words emerge slowly, from the chest, not the lips. The universe recognizes coherence, not drama. One sentence from alignment moves worlds faster than 30 pages of pleading. Try this before a meeting. Before an important call, before creative work, inhale through the nose until the jaw unclenches. Pause and feel the vibration of silence in your throat. Exhale a single word, peace, yes, or your name slowly. Sense how air itself seems to grow thicker with clarity. That density is power. Dolina, a storyteller, lost her audience when her family fell ill and fear consumed her. She would begin to tell a tale and stumble, forgetting even her opening line. One day she sat beside Karo's bell foundry, listening to the rhythmic ringing. Without thinking, she began to hum along. Her hum turned into words: no performance, no effort. Passers-by slowed, drawn to the calm threaded through her voice. Months later, her gatherings filled again, yet she swore she had stopped trying. Then what do you do now? Someone asked. I speak only when the silence inside me wants to sing. She said that silence was resonance before sound. The vibration of a thought is measurable. The vibration of belief magnified through emotion becomes directive force. When you pair consistent tone with coherent intent, the physical world aligns molecule by molecule. To live carelessly is to broadcast static. To live intentionally is to conduct symphony. The ancients called this alignment, intonement, a deliberate tuning of self with source. Every civilization possessed its name: Om, Logos, Word, Vibration, Prime, all describe the same principle. Creation begins as frequency remembered, not matter constructed. Each evening, sit upright. Imagine a small silver bell suspended within your chest. Inhale. The bell fills with light. Exhale. The light rings outward through ribs, skin, air, horizon. Do this 9 times. After the 9th breath, remain motionless and notice the subtle hum around you. It is not imagination. It is your field shifting into coherence. Repeat for 7 nights. Unexpected ease will appear in your interactions, as though people answer your thoughts without words. They do. You have become audible to the unseen. Remember this paradox: power increases as volume decreases. The quietest tone carries clearest through eternity because it is pure. Unclouded by resistance. Speak softly into the fabric of life, and it will echo with thunderous grace. The forbidden knowledge of resonance is no longer forbidden. It hums through every spoken truth. Every heartbeat poised between inhale and exhale. When next you find yourself surrounded by chaos, do not shout over it. Whisper one sentence of alignment and listen. The world will lower its voice to meet yours. Chapter 4. The still origin in a valley wreathed in morning fog. Travelers often stopped at a cedar temple where no rituals were performed and no words recited. Its caretaker, an old woman named Saya, greeted visitors with a smile, offered them water, and then said nothing. Those who remained, despite the discomfort of her quiet, left hours later strangely unburdened, as though the hush itself had swept dust from their minds. Saya had learned from the forest that every sound is born from stillness. Lives for a moment, then returns home, she once told a wandering monk. A speech is the child. Silence is the mother. Remember, the mother and the child behaves. He carried that teaching throughout the kingdom. Yet few understood that the temple's power came not from mantra or incense, but from density of presence. Silence is not absence, it is full presence released from demand. One spring, a scholar arrived intent on solving the riddle of Saya's piece. He plotted to record the temple's acoustics, measure its walls, analyze its serenity into logic. After days of fruitless cataloging, he asked her, "Why does nothing here disturb you?" She raised an eyebrow. "When a bird sings," she said evenly, "do you accuse the air of interference?" In that moment he recognized the flaw of intellect without stillness, noise looking for source rather than succumbing to music. That evening, exhausted, he joined her in wordless vigil until dawn. The valley transformed. Every rustle, stream, and insect became a verse in one continuous hymn. He never finished his report but became one of her quiet hounds of silence, tending paths for new seekers. So unfolds the next degree of understanding. Manifestation emerges from the pause before thought, the uninitiated act to relieve tension. The adept waits until tension ripens into clarity. Creation is gestation. Just as a sculptor must stop chiseling to let the dust settle and reveal form, we must cease mental hammering and let vision cohere. Rest is not retreat. It is the forging chamber of reality. Far to the east, a young potter named Kai struggled with fracturing clay. He tightened control, measuring air temperature, timing kill heat, but failure persisted. Eventually, despair forced him into stillness. He sat before his wheel without touching it, listening to his pulse beat against the quiet. When he finally centered his hands, the first pot rose flawless. He had discovered the same truth Saya carried across decades. Silence aligns the invisible hand with the visible one. In sound you express. In silence you reset the field that obeys your expression. Ignore this rhythm and results warp. Observe it, and you join the breathing of the universe itself. Expansion, contraction, expansion again. The ancient engineers of temples, musicians of spheres, farmers of stars all followed this. Pulse. Every cycle of manifestation contains 4 movements to 1 inhale of awareness. Intention conceived, 2 pause of stillness. Energy gathers coherence. 3 exhale of action form. Appears, 4 pause of gratitude. Vibration stabilizes before the next breath of becoming. The modern seeker often skips the second and fourth. Thus, fatigue replaces fulfillment. True mastery is measured not by constant doing but by the serenity between doings. Silence equals energy times order. Noise equals energy times chaos. The same voltage flows through both. Direction defines destiny. Your internal quiet does not cancel life's sounds. It arranges them into harmony. Try listening to an argument without defending, to thunder without tensing, to your own thoughts without comment. Notice how events begin reorganizing themselves. Once you stop feeding reaction, that shift is tangible law. Entropy collapsing back into design. Sit with spine upright. Place 1 palm over the heart, 1 over the abdomen. Inhale through the nose to the count of 3. Pause, exhale through the mouth to the count of 5. After each exhale, remain perfectly still for 1 heartbeat. Repeat 10 cycles. During each pause, imagine you are the night sky between stars, receptive, infinite. No mantra is needed. Faith itself vibrates. When completed, open your eyes slowly. The world will appear sharper, as if it had been gently polished. It has within your field first, that in form, near the end of her days. Saya gathered her students and said, I'd bequeath you nothing tangible, only the gap between my words. They sat bewildered until the first evening without her, when the temple's silence thickened into music. The forest echoed through their own heartbeat. They finally understood. That is the nature of spiritual inheritance. It is not the scroll, but the space to read it. Not the statue, but the stillness that allows its grace to radiate. Silence is the womb of every miracle. When you lean into it with trust rather than fear of emptiness, you touch the raw blueprint of existence. The Forbidden Keepers called this state the zero sound, the hum beneath creation's orchestra. From there, all possibilities branch like rays of early sun across fog. When worries crowd the mind, remember the Valley Temple. Sip water, say nothing, and let the unseen geometry rearrange itself around your calm. As you end this chapter, inhale slowly. Hold the breath not as effort but as devotion. In that suspension, you will feel life bending toward balance, a universe shuffling its stars to match the rhythm of your peace. Chapter 5. The Fire That Does Not Burn. In a high plateau village where cold winds carved music through the stones, people told stories of a glassblower named Sira who could melt sand without flame. Each night she would sit before her furnace unlit, whispering prayers no one understood. By dawn, vials of perfect clarity waited on her workbench, their surfaces alive with inner glow. Curious villagers gathered one winter to watch. Sira invited them to stand in silence while she inhaled deeply, her palms hovering over cool sand. Moments later, warmth radiated outward until the air itself seemed to shimmer. From invisible fire, the sand softened. "Behold," she murmured, "the proof of a steady belief." Sira's art expressed an eternal law. Faith is the field within which all elements obey. Heat, light, circumstance, all are servants to conviction. She did not conjure burns. She removed doubt, and the atoms rearranged. Where many attempt endlessly to believe, the adept simply remembers the state of unity where questioning cannot survive. Faith at this level is not dogma. It is a frequency. It hums beneath even disbelief, waiting to be tuned. Belief is coherent energy unshaken by sensory contradiction. In quantum terms, observation collapses probability. In spiritual terms, certainty crystallizes chaos. Every woggle in your confidence opens the waveform of doubt. Each quiet assurance fuses possibility into form. Those who live through repeated disappointment are not cursed. They are oscillating between resonance and resistance. The universe does not punish, it measures consistency. One unwavering note outlasts 1,000 erratic ones. Long ago, a shepherd named Elan gazed upon parched fields and prayed for rain. Weeks passed, skies emptied, villagers mocked his faith. One dusk he walked into the barren plain with a single wooden flute. "Play for the storm," he whispered to himself, "as if it already dances above me." He closed his eyes and played a melody of gratitude, gentle and sure. When he finished, silence pressed thick. Then thunder answered, echoing his exact rhythm. Rain fell all night. Elan later said, "The sky was not convinced by the song. I was." Faith and phenomenon rose as twins. Between heartbeat and mind exists a bridge called expectation. Step onto this bridge with conviction and life organizes to support your stride. Hesitate and the bridge dissolves underfoot. The covenant of belief therefore demands partnership. You hold the tone, the universe holds the echo. Acting as if is not pretending. It is pre-tuning reality. Pretending hopes for proof. Conviction is the proof vibrating before sight. Each time you maintain trust despite lack of evidence, you reinforce the lattice through which the evidence will appear. Her apprentice Lyra once replaced quartz with inferior sand, secretly doubting her miracle. The furnace stayed cold. When shame forced confession, Sira smiled. "The flaw was not the sand," she said, "but the tremor behind your hands. Fire hears fear quicker than faith." She handed him the bellows. "Breathe again with certainty." When he did, heat bloomed instantly. It was never chemistry. It was coherence. When desire becomes strain, belief has slipped into bargaining. Force demands. Faith invites. Force emphasizes how. Faith dwells in is, still action follows faith. but effortlessly as rivers follow gravity. Not orders. Observe gardens. Seeds germinate through invisible trust in sunlight. They do not deliberate their worth. So, too, must your intentions rest under a similar radiance of quiet knowing. You need not prove yourself to the cosmos whose own heartbeat pulses in your veins. Belief is not volume. It is temperature. Some shout affirmations into cold air and wonder why nothing melts. Turn inward and feel warmth build in the chest. No words needed. That inner heat is resonance aligning with origin. When released through gentle speech or gesture, it alters the weave of matter with merciful precision. Sit in dim light before an unlit candle. Place both palms near your heart. Whisper, asterisk, as within, so burn without. Asterisk, picture a golden spark forming behind the sternum. See it expand until you almost feel warmth beneath your hands. When certainty swells to fullness, light the candle. You will notice the wick catches instantly. As though awaiting your permission, each evening repeat until lighting feels like recognition, not effort. Carry this sensation into daily tasks, your words, greetings, decisions. Let them be flame born from faith, not friction. The moment you truly know a thing, creation rearranges to prove you right. It does not do this out of kindness or cruelty. It is law. Belief is the blueprint energy consults to carve form. To mistrust your power is still belief in limitation, and the law obliges with equal fidelity. Choose therefore the gentler certainty that existence conspires for your unfolding, not against it. Hold that pitch and matter dances to it. Tonight, before sleep, say softly, asterisk, the universe already agrees with me. I now agree with it. Asterisk, then turn the mind off like a lamp. In the quiet warmth that follows, 1,000 unseen hands begin their work, arranging tomorrow to fit the pattern of your faith. Chapter 6. Tongues of Creation. In the Crimson Valley of Terran, houses were built from clay that shimmered gold when sunlight touched it. At the western edge lived a calligrapher named Noor, known not for her handwriting but for what her words caused. Walls repaired themselves where she wrote symbols of peace. Crops thrived when she painted blessing across irrigation gates, and quarrels ceased whenever she left quiet lines of verse near the well. The villagers called it luck, but elders whispered that her ink carried sound long after pens left paper. Noor taught that speech is sculpted. Air and air is living matter. Each word is an arrow, she said. Some pierce, some plant. When apprentices asked how to master safe arrows, she replied, do not sharpen your tongue. Cleanse your breath. For true articulation is not phonetics. It is the quality of energy exhaled. One morning, a rival scribe named Marin mocked her. If words wield such power, bless me with gold by sentence alone. Noor smiled, dipped her quill, and wrote one phrase upon a slip of bark. May every word you speak return multiplied. Days later, Marin awoke surrounded by chatter. Every insult he had flung at others now echoed back at him from strangers in marketplaces. In panic, he sought Noor, begging release. Then speak differently, she advised, and the world will answer anew. Marin lived quietly thereafter, carving blessings into beams and simple doorframes. Within months, prosperity found him not conjured from nothing, but reflected from his transformed tone. This story unveils a precise law. Vibration spoken aloud solidifies probability. Thought is clay. Speech is kill. You do not merely describe reality. You finalize it. Each declaration sends coded intention through breath, commanding atoms into formation. Physicists describe resonance as amplification through shared frequency. Mystics describe the same when they say Amen. A sentence repeated with conviction organizes molecules. One uttered through sarcasm disperses. Mixed motives produce static. Requests half believed. We've half-formed outcomes. Thus, the ancients advised moderation of tongue, not for morality, but for mathematics. Words misaligned with feeling cancel their own echo. To speak truthfully is to speak holistically. Thought, emotion, and tone aligned as one vector of force. Most people sabotage themselves before breakfast. I'm always late. I can't afford that. I'm terrible with names. Each seems trivial. Yet these micro-spells stitch the fabric of repetition. Replace confession of limitation with declaration of intent. I value time. I allow resources. I remember easily. Language recalibrates the subconscious. Repetition engraves it into collective field. During excavations in southern ruins, researchers uncovered tablets inscribed with alternating patterns of praise and lamentation. Curiously, the rows of praise remained legible, whereas words of despair had eroded entirely. Stone kept gratitude. Complaint dissolved itself. The universe edits. Powerful speaking does not mean louder speaking. Shouted affirmations often rebound before they penetrate. The whisper of authenticity travels farther, just as low frequencies journey longest through water and earth. Speak from centered breath, not from throat. Words then roll like river stones, strong yet smooth. 1. Before communicating anything important, inhale for a slow count of 7. 2. Hold the air as audience. Feel it. Listen. 3. Exhale through barely parted lips while imagining golden mist leaving you. 4. Speak only when remaining air feels light, not heavy. Repeat until serenity precedes sound. This steadies electromagnetic tone. Anna, a midwife, once cursed winter after a child was lost. "Let the frost have me," she cried. By next dawn fever took her breath. Through delirium she remembered Noor's teaching and began whispering a correction. *, let warmth return, through me as me. Hours later the fever broke. Her recovery was not miracle, but resonance reversal language corrected vibration. Even machines confirm this law. Voice analytics reveal emotional imprint within tone unseen by syntax alone. Two identical sentences, one sincere, one bitter, vibrate and affect listeners differently. The body is an antenna. The heart, its tuner. To lie is to deaden oneself from power. Accuracy of feeling equals amplitude of effect. Before the old era collapsed, libraries contained sound scripts, rituals recited to repair magnetic grid lines after natural disasters. Their survival into present day is partial, the phrases muttered in varying liturgies across cultures. All share one instruction, *, speak what you wish to build, not what you wish to end. *, even protest must aim toward creation, not destruction. Or it multiplies peril. At sunrise place one hand at the throat, inhale through the heart, exhale through the mouth. Then vow silently, * only aligned words pass this gate. * carry this awareness through the day. Before sleep, recall any phrase uttered in fear. Gently restate it in love. Example, from "I'm tired of failure" to "I'm ready for fulfillment." This nightly revision rewires trajectories faster than any external ritual, if silence is the womb of creation. Language is its child learning to walk. Teach it rhythm, compassion, patience. Let each word you speak travel ahead of you like a lantern, making safe your next step. The law cannot be tricked. It simply amplifies whatever melody leaves your lips. Before ending this part, breathe once and say softly, *, may the world hear me as peace hears itself. *, listen to the quiet that follows. That quiet is agreement. Chapter 7. The compass of feeling across the emerald cliffs of Myria. A handful of houses clung like shells to the stone. There lived a glass mariner named Ryan who spent his days catching light. He would suspend thin panes of crystal over the tide and watch sunlight fracture into colors no artist could name. Villagers said he navigated without maps, he needed none. Wherever joy stirred brightest in his chest, he sailed, and somehow arrived exactly where he was meant to be. When asked the secret of his certainty, he replied, "I've learned to trust the weather within." From him arose a teaching that traveled far beyond his coastal town. *, feeling is guidance. Not flaw. *, we are raised to worship intellect and distrust emotion. Yet emotion is movement, and movement is the universe speaking through sensation. The heart does not oppose the mind. It informs it. Thought plans paths. Emotion supplies the wind. To sail without listening to wind is to row in circles. Each emotion that visits you carries frequency. Joy is alignment made audible. Peace is truth resting in the body. Fear is energy demanding redirection, not punishment. Anger is boundary awareness rising for expression. When ignored, these messengers scream. When honored, they bow. The awakened being learns to listen beneath narrative to pure vibration, asking, "What motion do you wish from me?" In that question lies liberation. Tama was a healer who could mend bones but not heartbreak. After losing her partner, she sealed away grief, claiming mastery over pain. Years later, patients began leaving her sick as when they'd arrived. Her once steady touch trembled. At sunset one evening, she collapsed beside an open window, sobbing. For the first time in a decade, she allowed sorrow to complete its circuit. Morning arrived softer. Her hands again glowed with heat when rendering aid. Tama had rediscovered an immortal truth. Emotion unexpressed is energy untransformed. Sadness becomes wisdom only after acknowledgement. Anger becomes strength only after articulation. Imagine standing at sea. Joy is the north current, fear the south. Both are navigational data. If the compass needle moves erratically, check for magnetic clutter, usually judgment of self. Remove it and direction clarifies. Feelings never lie. Interpretation doth. When despair visits, whisper, "Guide me. Don't define me." You will feel subtle course corrections, phone calls answered at perfect moments, intuitions validated by coincidence. Emotion honored, open psychic GPS, once called the inner star. Emotional literacy predates language. Infants manifest instantly because their feelings have no bureaucracy. They cry, receive nourishment, sleep, pure exchange. Adults edit, mask, postpone. The universe, hearing mixed signals, delays delivery. Alignment is simply emotional honesty preserved through adulthood's noise. 1. When a strong feeling surges, pause rather than label. 2. Locate it in the body, throat, chest, stomach. 3. Breathe into that region until sensation morphs. 4. Ask 3 questions. What am I resisting? What truth does this emotion want spoken? What action restores harmony? The answer may arrive as impulse or image. Follow lightly. Do not force. Aura, a farmer, feared storms and built roofs over every crop. Yields dwindled, the plants forgot rain. Out of desperation, he removed the coverings. The next downpour destroyed a few rows but saved the rest. He realized the sky had never conspired against him. It merely sought equal exchange between giving and receiving. His fear had been stagnant love. Emotion, when withheld, blocks fertility of every kind. Emotion is the interface between finite and infinite. Where logic ends, energy interpretation begins. Every frequency carries instruction. Sadness tells you something wants to leave. Excitement tells you something wants to arrive. If you translate accurately, you move effortlessly. Misread it, and life appears erratic. Master translators are not colder, they are clearer. 1. Recognition, notice without story. I feel anger. 2. Respect, allow presence. Anger has purpose. 3. Redirection, transmute. Let this fuel boundary, not battle. Cycle through these whenever turbulence rises. With practice, emotional storms become weather patterns you expect and read. Not tempests that toss you before sleep each night. Sit upright. Imagine a lantern within your chest, flickering with the day's collected feelings, bright and dim alike. Whisper, every emotion is sacred. Every tone returns to light. Visualize the flame consuming heaviness, releasing warmth through ribs, shoulders, and skull. Fall asleep in that gentle glow. Dreams birthed from balanced emotion tend to deliver revelation rather than anxiety. The enlightened do not chase constant joy, they cultivate constant access. Joy is not adrenaline. It is equilibrium felt as radiance. The emotional compass points there by design. Do not despise sadness on the way. It only measures distance from home. When you wake tomorrow, treat the first feeling that arises, maybe eagerness, maybe annoyance, as scripture. Read it kindly. Adjust one thought to move half a step toward ease. That micro shift, repeated daily, becomes the great pilgrimage of alignment. And if storms return, recall Ryan on his crystal boat, following the direction of joy across uncharted water, smiling into wind that others feared. He was never lost. He simply listened. Chapter 8, The Hunger of Creation Across. The red dunes of Hisara, where wind sculpted hills into sleeping lions, there lived a desert gardener named Nima. She tended a patch of green so improbable travelers called it the Mirage Orchard. They swore the fruit tasted of memory itself. Sweet, nostalgic, impossible to describe. When asked how trees thrived in drought, Nima always said, "Because they want to." Her words puzzled the scientists who came to test her soil. They found it ordinary. The miracle lay not in minerals but in permission. She never resisted the desert's thirst. She simply aligned with the desire to bloom within it. From Nima's legacy, the adepts drew this axiom: desire is the universe longing to know itself through you. Many seekers are taught to distrust desire, labeling it greed, distraction, or ego. Yet extinguishing desire is like ordering the tide to stand still. You may silence waves for a moment, but life loses rhythm. The saints who renounced longing often discovered a subtler hunger returning, the wish to serve, to build, to love. Desire merely changed costume. Desire is fuel, not flaw. It pulls consciousness forward through experience, chiseling wisdom from curiosity. The question is not should I want? But what level of me wants this? When the personality craves applause, the current runs shallow. When the soul desires expression of beauty, the current runs ocean deep. Learn this difference and you turn craving into creation. Tova, a silversmith's daughter, spent years hammering jewelry, copied from old patterns. One night she dreamed of impossible designs, spirals looping into stars, metals singing beneath her hands. She woke trembling with yearning, then chastised herself. Such ambition is vanity. For weeks she resisted until exhaustion became prayer. Fine, she told the invisible. Show me how to want rightly. The next evening she found meteoric or scattered after a storm. When she shaped it into her dream's geometry, its surface shimmered between silver and starlight. Patrons came from far lands. Tova wept not for wealth but recognition of purpose. Her alignment had been restored. The divine impulse rerouted through her courage to desire again. Desire begins as vibration, then condenses into image, word, and action. When you demonize it, you choke evolution's spiral. Suppression stagnates energy, expression channels it. That's why the safest path is refinement, not repression. Ask of every yearning, is it born of emptiness or expansion? If emptiness, fill inward first through gratitude, stillness, presence. If expansion, cooperate, action becomes devotion. Fulfillment does not end desire. It refines it. Each manifested dream births a higher octave of the same theme. The musician who finds success yearns to compose deeper harmony, not to cease music. Thus the spiral ascends never closed, always widening. Your task is not to freeze at one rung of wanting, but to keep circling upward, harvesting insight at each turn. Movement itself is paradise. When a wish surprises you swift, luminous, illogical, assume it is the universe speaking in first-person singular. Through you, I would experience art. Through you, I would taste compassion. Receiving such desire is sacred responsibility, not temptation. The greater sin is to deny it into silence. Unexpressed purpose becomes restlessness. Restlessness, misdiagnosed, becomes despair. Listen upstream of impatience, and you will hear guidance disguised as yearning.eru. A monk sworn to simplicity felt jealousy seeing merchants expand their shops. Rather than fight the emotion, he sat until jealousy melted into clarity. He desired growth, not glitter. So he multiplied silence, teaching others to meditate. Within a decade, his monastery had spread across the provinces. His vow remained pure, yet his life overflowed. The law held true. Energy unresisted refines itself into contribution. At twilight, sit before a single candle, write one longing that feels both frightening and holy. Read it aloud, beginning with the words, through this. May life know itself more completely. Fold the paper, place it beneath the candle, and let the flame burn until wax covers the wish. You have not released control, you have accepted. Partnership, henceforth walk as though fulfillment is curious. where will meet you. Many fear that embracing desire will rob them of peace. In truth, peace precedes productive desire. It steadies the spiral. From still contentment, desire rises free of desperation, like wind sculpting dunes without destroying them. The enlightened are not desireless. They are desire transparent, allowing longing to pass through without distortion. When next you feel the restless pull of something more, a new craft, lover, vision, adventure, do not label it greed. Invite it to sit beside you like an old friend returning with stories of the next horizon. Ask quietly, what beauty? Do you wish to birth through me? You will sense warmth in response. That is permission from the infinite. Remember Nima's orchard in the desert. Each tree leaned toward impossible rain but blossomed anyway. Faith did not cancel longing. Longing summoned miracle. Tonight, before sleep, whisper, my desires are divine conversations. I listen with joy. The universe, hearing its own echo in your words. We'll continue the dialogue in Dreams. Chapter 9. The geometry of unity. In the northern province stood a domed observatory worn by centuries of wind. Scholars climbed there too. Chart stars, yet none understood why the place hummed faintly even on windless nights. Only one caretaker remained, a gentle man named Silas, who polished lenses and kept silence as patient as the stone itself. Visitors often found him tracing circles in dust upon the marble floor. When asked his purpose, he would answer, I practice remembering. The circles, intersecting and endless, imitated the motion of planets, the great design repeating itself from atom to galaxy. The lesson was hidden but simple. Everything aligns when everything agrees with itself. Silas taught that. All manifestations, galaxies, gardens, emotions obey the same pattern of coherence. Thought, feeling, and action vibrating in phase create acceleration. When out of phase, friction arises. The greater your internal harmony, the faster reality arranges to sustain it. Thus, there is no competition, only alignment or interference. He would pluck a single note on a stringed instrument and hum the same pitch. The sound doubled in volume. Two waves, same rhythm, more power, he would say. So also, two feelings, same truth. The so-called secret is not hidden manipulation but mechanical precision disguised as mysticism. Harmony is physics. Love is coherence. A merchant's daughter, prayed endlessly for abundance while fearing poverty. Her prayers and fears danced opposite steps. One night she dreamed of walking two dogs, one white, one black, pulling opposite directions until leash and patience snapped. She woke laughing at the obvious instruction. Pick one direction. From that morning she stopped pleading and instead acted wealthy, sharing food, offering loans, blessing rivals. Within months her ledgers changed shape. Belief, emotion, and action had finally agreed, summoning the geometry that the universe could read. Reality behaves like stained glass. Its beauty appears only when light passes through symmetrical form. Your consciousness is the frame, your choices, the design. If pieces contradict, light scatters. Once angles support one another, the full image shines effortlessly. Every morning you construct this window anew. Decide wisely what shapes you insert. Fear has jagged edges. Gratitude fits smoothly. The more seamless your pattern, the clearer the light. Let it be written. Thought plus feeling plus action equals form. Doubt cancels days of effort. Harmony completes in hours what chaos requires years to attempt. When mind and heart share a decision, the body becomes amplifier. When either rebels, the body drags its feet through confusion. Observe yourself. Do your words, tone, and gesture align? When they do, even simple greetings bless. When they don't, even elaborate rituals stall. 1. Choose one clear intention, for instance. Peace. 2. Think it. Peace belongs here. 3. Feel it. Breathe until chest softens. 4. Act it. Move slowly. Kindly, speak gently. By evening, notice how events surrounding you echo that composure, traffic easing. Strangers smiling, small timing miracles. The universe is not rewarding virtue. It is reflecting wavelength. Two carpenters constructed bridges over the same river. The first measured endlessly yet feared collapse. The second hummed while working, sensing rhythm between plank, current, and pulse. When the floods arrived, the fearful bridge twisted apart. The humming bridge swayed but stood. Harmony absorbed impact. From this came Silas's proverb, asterisk tense structures crack. Tuned ones sing. Asterisk likewise, a tense intention collapses under circumstance. A tuned one adapts and thrives. Every pattern contains miniature versions of itself, leaf, branch, tree. Cell, organ, body. Human life expands by the same rule. The coherence you cultivate radiates outward through relationships, community, planet. Heal alignment in one breath, and distant echoes respond though you never meet them. This is the secret compassion embedded in physics. Silas once restored an ancient telescope, aligning mirrors until starlight struck the central crystal precisely. When asked what he saw, he smiled faintly. The stars? No, the design seeing itself. His comment held the ultimate key. The closer your coherence, the thinner the veil between observer and observed. You and your vision merge and manifestation ceases to feel external. Morning, sit tall. Name one goal. Mind, state it clearly in a single sentence. Heart, recall. Why it feels loving. Body, begin one simple act toward it. Do this daily before eating. This triad stabilizes the day's geometry. You will recognize growing synchronicity as confirmation that the three aspects turn in unison. Under all mystical terminology rests precision mathematics. Coherence governs manifestation. The sages veiled truth in poetry so hearts could feel it before minds dissected it. Now both can meet. The cathedral, the song, the blooming lotus each obeys identical ratio. Carrying that ratio inward transforms chaos into clarity when doubt whispers. Picture Silas drawing infinite circles on his floor, dust spiraling beneath his fingertip. He never questioned completion. Geometry already implied it. So it is with your intentions. Once drawn with steady belief, they must close their arcs. Before sleep, trace a small circle on your palm and whisper, asterisk, what begins in coherence ends in grace. Asterisk, feel how instantly the day folds into symmetry. Thought, feeling, action, 3 points of one eternal triangle returning to stillness. Chapter 10. The art of letting light breathe. On a green hillside above the River Soul stood the cottage of Irene Vale, famed healer of gardens and people alike. Every flower she touched thrived until one summer when nothing would bloom. Herbs yellowed, vines withered, soil turned stubborn beneath her hands. In desperation she mixed new tonics, measured rainfall, pleaded with the moon. But the ground remained silent. Exhausted. She sank beside her plot and finally muttered, I have done everything. In that surrender, she heard a thought so gentle it wasn't quite a thought at all. Then stop doing, she obeyed. For a week she simply sat among the fading plants, breathing with them, watching clouds arrive and pass. Then rain fell in forecast, effortless, perfect. Her garden returned not because of new work, but because work ceased long enough for the hidden forces to perform theirs. That was how the valley learned the fifth principle of creation. Allowance activates the laws you keep interrupting. Wanting alone does not block manifestation. Attachment does. A clenched mind whispers lack. The universe, taking instructions literally, continues withholding. When you loosen your grasp not from apathy but from trust, the field expands its options. Consider water in a closed fist. Even abundance escapes your hold. Open the hand and river, rain, or sea may fill it. Allowance is the willingness to stay open between inhaling intention and exhaling result. Haris, a merchant famed for order, timed life to the minute, and opportunities to death. His ledgers flawless, outcomes predictable, yet expansion eluded him. One autumn illness forced rest. Clients handled the business in his absence. By winter he recovered to find profits doubled, partnerships multiplied. He confessed to a friend, "All my planning strangled the surprises meant for me." Allowance had accomplished what efficiency could not, the cooperation of unseen timing. Everything in motion follows cyclic rhythm. Push, pause, pull. Inhale, still, exhale. Manifestation likewise breathes. Push too long and energy tires. Pause too long and opportunity stagnates. The art lies in sensing when the breath changes direction and moving with it instead of against it. This is not passivity. It is informed responsiveness, listening to momentum rather than commanding it. You become surfer instead of sculptor, co-composer instead of conductor. When reality resists, examine the subtle friction of insistence. Perhaps you argue with smaller timing on behalf of a larger one you cannot yet perceive. Life rearranges most smoothly when you withdraw accusation and adopt curiosity. Asking asterisk, what is this delay gifting me? Immediately relocks you into trust frequency, and conditions begin pivoting to reveal their purpose. A mountain hermit once demonstrated allowing by flying kites in calm air. Villagers mocked him until currents arose seemingly from nowhere, lifting the paper dragons high. They asked his secret. He shrugged. I hadn't summoned wind. I had cleared space for it. Space invites miracle. The universe, like wind, can only dwell where resistance is absent. To allow is to make room for larger motion. Overt effort feels sharp, narrow, impatient. Allowing feels wide, calm, patient. Therefore, your body itself signals transition points. Tight chest equals forcing. Open chest equals flow. When you sense contraction, step back. Walk, sing, breathe, nap anything that dilates awareness again. Returning relaxed does more for manifestation than 10 anxious strategies each morning before engaging exterior world. Take this stance. 1. Sit upright but unrigid. 2. Place palms upward on knees. 3. Visualize golden current entering through crown, circulating down arms into hands. 4. Whisper, asterisk, I open as vessel, not victim. Asterisk 5. Sit until breath feels circular. This posture teaches the nervous system to interpret waiting as readiness, not loss. Many confuse forgiving with forgetting. True forgiveness is energetic release, the opening of clenched narrative. Resentment demands past behave differently. Forgiveness allows it to have taught enough. Until forgiven, memory drags the same frequency into new events. Allowing dissolves this repetition. To forgive, therefore, is to reopen the gate of the present. Letting light circulate where shadow had claimed squatters' rights, when fields of allowance expand. Assistance arises through unimaginable routes. The friend who calls precisely when you despair. The stranger who utters needed words, the timing that spares danger by seconds. None are coincidence. They are confirmation that the orchestration you loosed by trust has begun. Overture. Mark these incidents. They are your new evidence that surrender is a skill, not surrender of skills. Stand facing sunrise. Lift both arms wide, palms forward. Inhale fully. Exhale while rotating wrists outward as though pushing invisible walls away. Repeat 3 times, saying softly, asterisk, all that hinders me now returns to light. Feel the subtle coolness that follows. That is energy once trapped. Now circulating back to source, perform this whenever mind tangles in control. The kinesthetic reminder that openness feels like breeze across skin. Irene's garden lives in you every project. Relationship, dream as a field responding not to your labor, but to your faith in its own intelligence. Tend with attention, not anxiety. Act when inspired, rest when motion pauses. Allowing is not idleness. It is spiritual choreography with a partner far vaster than comprehension. Tonight, before sleep, breathe once as though exhaling 10 years of effort. Whisper, asterisk, I make room for what already wants to arrive. Then let quiet take the final word. By dawn, the first hints of effortless bloom will stand as proof that trust, not tension, keeps the world in flower. Chapter 11. Blueprints of the Invisible in a Sun. Dappled studio above the harbor city of Elion. A woman named Leora drew circles, not artistic doodles, but the patterns that whispered to her during meditation. At first she dismissed them as idle reverie. Then she noticed correlation. Each time she completed a design, life rearranged itself to match it. A ring of interlocking lines brought new friendships. A spiral yielded opportunity. A star pattern coincided with recovery of her brother's health. When a scholar friend called these coincidences, Leora smiled. Geometry doesn't hope, she said. It knows. From her journal, the initiates later distilled the principle that would become foundation to every mystery lodge. Faith is architecture, the unseen drawing that form obeys. Every thought impressed with confidence creates structure within the field of possibility. This structure is not visible matter but coherent pattern, lines of intention connecting frequencies into open fractal. While belief supplies energy, faith supplies symmetry. Without symmetry, energy diffuses like steam. With it, it condenses into order. Hence the ancients built their temples on proportions mirroring planetary ratios. They weren't worshipping numbers, they were tuning faith. Numbers are trust made visible. Aaron, an apprentice architect, ridiculed these notions until a design kept collapsing on paper. Walls mismeasured, angles refused to meet, drafts tore in his hands. In frustration, he slept over his desk and dreamed his drawing glowing gold. Humming in 4-beat rhythm, breathe, believe, draw, release, he woke. Followed the command, exhaling once before each line. The new model stood flawless and later built, endured decades of storms. Faith had steadied his hand with unseen geometry. You pray every time you sustain trust long enough for the universe to trace its outlines through circumstance. The repetition you call coincidence is the world completing your sketch. If lines wobble, the reflection wobbles. That is why inconsistent faith produces erratic results. It changes the blueprint. Mid-construction. Hold an image steady through patience and gratitude. You'll find materials gathering themselves like loyal builders. Doubt creates asymmetry, one side of the design heavier, pulling it down. Faith straightens edges, returning balance. When inward pattern stabilizes, external form responds with elegance. The humble experience this as luck. The adept calls it alignment by geometry. Even relationships reveal this law, where both hearts trust equally. Harmony feels architectural, strong arches of honesty supporting delicate stained glass of emotion. Where suspicion enters, balance tilts and cracks appear. Each morning draw a small circle on paper. Inside it, write one focused affirmation. Phrased as a present reality, I am established in prosperous peace. Love flows through my days in order. Sit 3 minutes viewing that circle as blueprint, not wish. Feel its symmetry. Fold and carry it. You will notice exterior details starting to mirror interior simplicity. The circle reminds consciousness what completed truth. Looks like no corners to snag fear. No sides to defend, just unbroken continuity. Months after public intrigue about her patterns, Lior accepted an invitation to design stained glass for the Central Observatory. She embedded within it quiet sequences, repeated ratios of 3, 5, 8, the same Fibonacci thread found in roses and galaxies. When sunlight passed through, prisms flooded the floor in living mandala. Those who entered reported clarity, healed tempers, sudden insights. No doctrine, only design. Faith expressed as architecture of light, hope peers at distance. Faith occupies it. Hope asks, will it happen? Faith answers, asterisk, it is happening. Thus hope lives in time. Faith lives in geometry already balanced, awaiting manifestation to catch up. Too much hoping keeps structures sketched in air. Choosing faith pours foundation. Every time you act from assurance rather than anticipation, lines solidify one layer deeper in the lattice. The spiral repeats across nature, because faith itself moves in progressive curves, never returning to exactly same point, only higher octave of understanding. When you lose trust and regain it, the circle did not break, it expanded. You stand above the former ring, viewing it with compassion instead of shame. Each lapse refined proportion. Sit quietly, spine aligned. Imagine above your head a golden sphere rotating slowly. With each inhale, see it emit threads of light descending into your heart, forming precise lattice 6-pointed. Then 12 until inner space feels arranged. Not chaotic, whisper, asterisk, my trust establishes dimension. Asterisk, remain until serenity sharpens, as though your body had become cathedral nave receiving sunlight, open eyes. Hold posture of balanced architecture through the day. You have been sketching reality since birth. Every conviction drew invisible blue lines across the canvas of possibility, and life rushed obediently to fill them. When patterns displease you, redraw not in panic, but with reverence. You are both architect and material, compass and radius. Remember Leora above her harbor, tracing radiant circles while gulls wheeled through dawn. She didn't ask if geometry worked. She trusted that harmony could not help but appear. Her studio still hums long after her passing. Proof that faith, once etched into structure, continues reverberating through time. Before rest tonight, trace a small spiral on your palm and breathe through it once. Feel order gathering under skin. The blueprint is accepted. Tomorrow will simply rise to meet its shape. Chapter 12. Turning feeling into fuel. In a mist-covered village between two rivers lived Dara, a potter whose work shimmered with unexplainable light. When asked her glaze recipe, she said only, "Yesterday's tears." Those who laughed believed her poetic. Those who listened wisely realized truth wore metaphor. Dara had learned to transmute emotion instead of suppress it. Each morning she collected bits of colored glass, crushed them between cloth, and added to molten clay. The pigments came from discarded ornaments, funerary beads, shattered mirrors, tokens once heavy with pain. Melted and remade, they gifted her pottery an iridescence never replicated elsewhere. "Grief," she would whisper, "is just glass waiting for fire." Emotion is pure current, not morality play. Labeling it good or bad binds it to stagnation. Viewed as element, not enemy, it becomes the richest source of transformation. As water may boil into cloud and return as rain, so anger may rise into courage and descend as compassion. The adept does not drown. The adept steers. Avoidance is energetic pollution. Expression with awareness is refinement. Your nervous system is laboratory, heart the crucible, breath the catalyst. Rafi, once a soldier, carried rage like hot iron. Therapies dulled it but did not dissolve it. One night during storm he began drumming to contain panic. Thunder answered until rhythm replaced memory and sweat replaced tears. By dawn, fury had translated into strength. He later taught rhythm healing in city clinics. What medicine couldn't shift, movement completed. He hadn't eradicated rage. He had repurposed its voltage into service. Emotion released through intention equals art. Emotion released through reaction equals accident. Every emotion holds frequency times amplitude equals manifestation potential. Ignoring emotion lowers amplitude. Indulging without awareness distorts frequency. Balance requires feeling fully while translating direction consciously. Ask in any upheaval, what is the energy of this and where can it flow productively? Fear may become foresight, sorrow may become empathy, envy may signal dormant desire demanding growth. Honest acknowledgement frees the pattern from compulsion. Resisted feelings recycle. Understood feelings ascend, the 4 stages of internal transformation. Mirror metalsmithing. 1. Recognition, negredo, raw or appears. Here is pain. 2. Containment, albedo, observe without judgment. Melt without spilling. 3. Redirection, citronitis, mix with purpose. Apply motion, art, prayer. 4. Integration, rubedo, new alloy emerges. Emotion returns as wisdom. Repeat this whenever life presents molten challenges. Mastery means you cease fearing the furnace. Lise lost her sight during adolescence. Her despair grew into silence that frightened family. Then, hearing wind through chimes, she realized her body still heard color. She began composing songs matching tones to memory's amethyst as low hum, crimson as laugh, jade as small piece. Each tune released another layer of grief. Audiences later wept for reasons they could not name. Unseen within melody was healed, sorrow turned to resonance. Thus was proven again, emotion transmuted becomes communion. We heal ourselves, then others through the echo. Use sorrow to power depth. Use frustration to spark precision. Use fear to sharpen awareness. Use joy to stabilize magnetism. Refuse none. Redirect all. When you cultivate such neutrality, nothing external controls you. Even chaos arrives as ingredient. Not insult, the key. Stop asking feelings why and start asking what for. Purpose converts pain faster than explanation. Breath alchemy. Inhale through heart, imagining color of feeling. Exhale, releasing it as light across. Horizon, writing transmutation. Pour raw talk onto paper, then underline every verb action. Reveals the hidden instruction. Water ritual, place hands over bowl. And name emotion aloud. Imagine water absorbing tone. Pour into earth. Gratitude closes circuit, simple acts prevent accumulation. Leaving heart a clean retort for upcoming experiments in consciousness. Modern study confirms emotional frequency alters electromagnetic field measurable several feet from body. Calm coherence organizes plasma. Stress disorder scatters it. This is literal alchemy, transform heat of reaction into signal of intention. Every deliberate soothe converts toxins of adrenaline into endorphins. Chemical gold. Ancient metaphors were never exaggeration. Only translation awaiting new language. 1. Sit comfortably. Eyes closed. 2. Bring to mind one situation still stinging. 3. Gather emotional charge into breath as if drawing thread. 4. On exhale. Imagine violet flame rising from the heart, consuming heaviness, turning smoke into light. 5. Remain until warmth replaces ache. Do not rush. Sometimes gold needs the night furnace. Repeat for different emotions until internal weather shifts permanently toward clarity. Inside, Dara's kill each vessel sang faintly while cooling. She said the tones were gratitude, the glass remembering its purpose. So too, once pain has served transformation, gratitude hums in its wake. What you once cursed becomes chorus. Tomorrow, if sadness revisits, welcome it to your workshop. Ask, what art will you become this time? Then light your inner furnace. Emotion will bow and whisper, as long as you honor me. Nothing is wasted. Fall asleep reminding yourself. Energy never leaves. It graduates. The degree awarded is wisdom, luminous and weightless. Ready to glaze the next work of your soul. Chapter 13. Agreements you forgot you signed. Beyond the high meadows of Oran stood a stone cottage wrapped in lilac vines. Within its walls lived Siren, an elderly woman who was said to negotiate with fate. People traveled miles to understand why their good intentions yielded tangled results. Siren would pour them tea, listen, then ask one question. What promise are you still keeping that no longer serves? Confusion always followed. Yet by the third cup each visitor began to remember, a vow sworn in childhood, a silent oath made during pain, a conclusion drawn while hiding tears. Every human, she taught, writes invisible agreements in moments of intensity, and life ever obedient honors them until rewritten. The lesson born in her kitchen became law among initiates. Your outer limitations are contracts your subconscious keeps faithfully when emotion peaks. Neurons carve permanent signature into belief. That signature becomes clause in the energy field. Love means loss, money means risk, rest means danger. Each clause calls matching circumstance for proof. No enforcer but memory itself maintains the covenant. Breaking it requires awareness followed by replacement, not rebellion. To override one, you must sign anew. Affirmations fail when the new statement doesn't reach the notary, the subconscious which speaks imagery. Repetition and feeling, not slogans. Leah inherited her family bakery in constant struggle. No matter how hard she worked, abundance shrank like dough without yeast. After sessions with Saran, she uncovered a memory. At 6 years old, watching her parents fight over debt, she whispered, "I'll never cause that pain." That sentence became a binding vow against prosperity. Years later, the field still enforced it. Upon seeing the pattern, she crafted a new declaration, "My prosperity brings harmony." She repeated it while kneading bread until emotion replaced guilt with trust. Within months, orders overflowed. Relationships sweetened with the scent of new agreement. Listen to the phrases you mutter most. I always attract chaos. I guess I just have bad timing. I don't deserve more. These are micro contracts. Cancelled only through conscious contradiction plus embodied evidence. Think of them as outdated spells waiting to be nullified by upgraded language. And action 1. Identify recurring difficulty. 2. Ask, what belief would make this outcome reasonable? 3. Locate memory or feeling attached. 4. Thank. The old vow for protecting you then. Point 5. Replace with statement. Carrying equal emotional charge in the opposite. Direction 6. Anchor through physical ritual gesture, breathing, handwriting, so that the body affirms what words declare. Each step recodes cellular and energetic memory. Without gratitude to the earlier clause, resistance lingers. Respect dissolves it. On the shore of Caliph, a fisherman mended nets nightly, muttering that storms always found him. A younger colleague observed, "Then why do you build nets strong enough for hurricanes?" The man froze. His craftsmanship had faithfully answered his subconscious prayer to survive disaster, thereby summoning it. Together they built lighter nets inspired by calm waters. That season the sea remained gentle. Preparation framed expectation. Expectation signed weather pattern. So too, what you fortify against. You invite. Communities and nations hold group vows, agreements about scarcity, identity, worth. These shared beliefs sculpt economies and cultures as vividly as personal ones shape lives. When you heal an internal clause, you subtly loosen strands in the collective web, granting others implicit permission to change. Freedom scales upward. Every contract has implied conditions: time, emotion, responsibility. When you silently promise, "I'll carry everyone," the universe faithfully delivers weight. When you declare, "I trust shared strength," burden redistributes. Energy cannot resist obedience. It follows the latest signed instruction. Therefore, awareness is constant negotiation. Conscious living is cosmic law practice. Each thought filed becomes precedent. Appeal early when judgments no longer fit. Write a letter addressed to life itself. State, "I now release agreements that limit my joy. I retain only those aligned with love and expansion." Sign and date it. Read aloud once by candlelight. Fold and place under pillow overnight. Next morning burn to ash, exhaling gratitude rather than drama. The act flags your energy record for revision. Events will soon rearrange to test and confirm new language. If old scenes re-emerge briefly, treat them as closing hearings, not relapse. Final paperwork often reappears before archive, neuroscience finds. Subconscious acceptance through emotion plus repetition plus imagery. 5 minutes per day of sincere visualization outweighs hours of mechanical talk. Picture your new belief as already operational, body relaxed, timeline altered. Feel gratitude. Sensation seals neural myelin like wax upon document. This is how metaphysics and physiology shake hands. As she aged, Siren carved on her cottage door, "Choice is the pen." When villagers argued destiny versus free will, she tapped the carving. "Both," she said. "Destiny writes drafts, free will signs or edits." When she passed, lilacs flourished through winter, as if her garden too had signed a clause of continued bloom. Invisible contracts cannot condemn once you recognize yourself as author. Yesterday's protections can become tomorrow's prisons only if left unread. Review your agreements with life often. Replace fear-based vows with statements of balance. I prosper to uplift. I love safely. I rest productively. The cosmos notarizes signatures instantly. Tonight before sleeping, place a hand on your heart and whisper, Asterisk, all my agreements now serve evolution. Asterisk, feel subtle warmth spread through chest, as if cosmic stamp pressed approval. You're free to negotiate miracles again. Chapter 14. The gift inside the dark. Along a mountain pass veiled in constant twilight lived a mirror maker. Named Opal, she crafted no ordinary mirrors. Hers reflected emotions more truthfully than faces. Travelers glimpsing their reflections often gasped to see colors of anger, clouds of regret, or coronas of love swirling around them. Opal's fame spread not for vanity but for healing, because whoever looked long enough saw beauty return where shadow had been acknowledged. She taught that light is born from its own contrast. Every denial eventually darkens into invitation. When accepted with honesty, it reverses itself into power. Shadow is not sin. It is stored potential. It forms whenever awareness rejects a part of itself. Anything you call unworthy, frightening, or shameful moves into hiding and begins collecting interest like an unpaid debt of energy. Facing it pays the account and releases surplus. Hence crises precede breakthroughs, they are overdue payments. Arriving with interest of enlightenment, those who flee darkness worship half a deity. Wholeness includes both. Meron feared anger to the point of illness. She smiled through every slight, numbed every confrontation. One night fever brought hallucination, a figure made of smoke holding a burning heart. It whispered, "I am the strength you refused." In surrender she touched it. It dissolved into heat coursing her veins. By dawn she felt steady for the first time in years. From that day, boundary became virtue, not crime. Every repressed emotion seeks holy reunion. When embraced, demon turns guardian. The universe evolves through differentiation. Light, then shade. Expansion, then rest. Your psyche mirrors the same rhythm. Shadow seasons arrive not as punishment, but as winter preparing soil for new bloom. Resisting darkness delays dawn. Meeting darkness quickens it. Think of galaxies held together by invisible matter. Without their unseen weight, stars scatter. So too, your hidden aspects provide gravity for dreams. Integrate them, you gain orbit instead of endless drift. When someone irritates you persistently, treat it as reflection exercise. Ask, what quality of them feels missing or overused in me? Often your judgment reveals disowned ability. The critic you condemn externally waits for inclusion internally. Once recognized, outer irritation loses magnetism. Inner energy becomes creative fuel, a method simple, radical but unfailingly accurate. Each shadow emotion contains specific alchemical. Translation: anger gives protection and clarity. Envy gives recognition of dormant potential. Fear gives instinct desiring. Education: shame gives conscience seeking. Expression and forgiveness. To interact wisely. Feel without performing. Observe tone, temperature, texture. Then ask, what gift hides here? Energy will inform you in body sensations before thought articulates. 1. In dim light, sit before a mirror. 2. See not surface image but emotion lurking behind eyes. 3. Speak to that presence aloud. I see you. I thank you for protecting me. 4. Wait. Breath slows as resistance softens. 5. When tears or warmth arise, whisper, we are one field again. Perform until affection replaces accusation. You will notice external conflicts diminishing because inner duel. Surrendered, Opal's young apprentice once tried polishing mirrors so aggressively he cracked several. Frustrated, she said, "You're trying to erase shadow instead of revealing reflection." She guided him to polish slowly, letting imperfections catch light in unique patterns. By next day, each repaired mirror gleamed deeper than the originals. From this was born the teaching: imperfection is glass bent toward wisdom. Likewise, your flaws are lenses magnifying consciousness if handled gently. Modern science records decreased cortisol when individuals consciously welcome discomfort versus suppress it. Body chemistry, obeying permission, shifts from fight, flight to rest, renew. Spiritual truth thus validates biology. Acceptance literally lowers heat of fear. Cooling inflammation of separation. Embrace shadow not philosophically but physiologically. Your heartbeat will confirm success before mind congratulates itself. Darkness is the backdrop making glowworms luminous. The silence defining song, the night against which constellations prove narrative. Remove night and stories collapse into glare. Therefore even pain participates in design. It defines joy's contour. To hate it is to erase contrast, to drift in bland perfection where nothing blooms. You came for texture, not theory. At dusk, place an unlit candle inside a black cup or bowl. Whisper, shadow, sit with me. Light the wick and observe flame reflected against darkness within cup. Two opposites coexisting without conflict. After several minutes, gently cover flame, not by blowing but by enclosing your hand briefly above it so smoke curls upward in spiral. Say, transformation is complete. This enacts physical symbolism of unity, light born, light absorbed. None destroyed. To fear darkness is to forget its parentage. You are half night, half dawn. Every creation emerges from womb of obscurity. All awakening begins with closed eyes. Shadows remind you that wholeness was never postponement of light, only its evolution. Next time you feel grief, trace its outline instead of fleeing it. Say softly, "You are my teacher." You'll feel warmth where coldness used to live, the blessing completing its orbit. And if mirrors ever show sadness more vividly than beauty, remember Opal's village and its twilight glow, proof that awareness itself is the sunrise no darkness can delay. Chapter 15. The future that remembers you. On the edge of a sunflower plain, a watchmaker named Hilda practiced an art few understood. Villagers brought her broken clocks, and she would repair them, but sometimes time itself seemed to change afterward. A man who feared aging suddenly looked younger. An exhausted woman found new hours in the day. When questioned, Hilda smiled mysteriously. "I don't fix time," she said. "I free it." Her workshop contained a single rule engraved above the door. Asterisk, asterisk, all moments exist together. Choose which one you wish to live in. Asterisk, asterisk, time behaves like woven fabric, not a marching line. Each event is a thread vibrating simultaneously. Consciousness is the shuttle moving across it, selecting color to experience. Whenever you recall, imagine, or feel vividly, you shift to that coordinate. The dominant emotional frequency decides which pocket of time you inhabit. Thus, manifestation is less waiting for a future and more tuning to an already existing frame of reality. This principle, hidden for centuries under parables of prophecy, explains spontaneous healing, déjà vu, intuitive foresight, all evidence of consciousness browsing the chronology shelf. Levi, a cartographer, loved creating maps for lands he'd never seen. One night he dreamt of a mountain pass lined with blue fire. He recorded it, assuming imagination, yet decades later, on an expedition, he stepped into the same landscape exactly as drawn. "Do we walk into the future?" he asked Hilda upon return, "or does it walk into us?" She answered, "Whichever arrives first. Depends on who remembers earlier." The map had been a breadcrumb left by a future self calling him forward through fascination. Every future potential emits a resonance signature. The emotion you feel when imagining success isn't fantasy, it's sensory contact with that timeline. Maintain connection long enough and probability densifies into event. Lose focus, vibration fades, path closes. Faith functions as gravitational current, pulling parallel moments into intersection. The meeting you needed, the coincidence that saved a life. To travel across timelines consciously, emotion must precede evidence. Each morning, 1. Select a desire. 2. Ask, how would my fulfilled self breathe, stand, speak? 3. Live 1 hour in imitation of that version. This reenactment synchronizes neurons and field to the chosen timeline. Evidence follows as matching vibration seeks reality to mirror itself. Begin small, a peaceful conversation. Clear inspiration. Unexpected kindness, until imagination becomes trusted compass. 2 gardeners planted seeds under identical sun. The first stared daily, impatient. The second imagined the scent of bloom and thanked it in advance. Weeks later, their plots revealed opposing worlds. Where gratitude lived, flowers rushed. Where anxiety ruled, soil stayed mud. One chose future completed, the other future pending. Both existed. Faith determined residence, time obeys conviction. Not calendar. When anxiety about outcome rises, it simply signals phase misalignment, your body anchored in present timeline, your awareness visiting preferred one. Breathe until rhythms synchronize. Each exhale informs the nervous system that safety exists already and timelines merge, along calm frequencies faster than along desperation. Peace, not urgency, is vehicle of teleportation, quantum field research shows. Observer effect extending through duration. Current observation alters recorded past particles, meaning memory is editable. Change emotional charge surrounding memory and its data rewrites inside your field, adjusting trajectory that followed. You literally heal tomorrow by forgiving yesterday. This is the medicine Hilda embedded inside her clocks. Each repaired gear symbolized restored allowance for temporal elasticity. Once a day, set clocks 1 minute ahead. During that minute, imagine everything already working. Notice how body posture, breath, even thought lighten. When the future minute arrives, keep that frequency. It becomes template for entire day. Small proof, profound leverage. After 9 days, the nervous system starts referencing success as normal state. Time then folds repeatedly to accommodate that resonance. Her apprentice, Nur, obsessed over impossible commissions. Only a year. He'd complain until she whispered, "Years are agreements. Change the contract." She taught him to envision project finished each night before sleep. When he began feeling post-completion gratitude rather than stress, clients accelerated resources, delays evaporated. What others called miracle was simply temporal renegotiation through feeling. At twilight, stand facing sunset. Inhale deeply while imagining drawing in light from tomorrow's dawn. Hold for 4 counts. Exhale into present moment. Repeat 7 times. This rhythm locks current and future selves into conversation. Often visions, solutions, serendipities appear within hours. Continue until life feels like memory unfolding backward. If all moments coexist, miracle is not intervention but selection. Choose often by emotion rather than circumstance and you become time artist. Each choice paints frequency that courts matching reality into visibility. The soul is simply the continuous observer thread through every painting, admiring its own growing gallery. When night falls and you listen to the tick of clocks, remember they measure consent, not truth. Minutes are mirrors asking which reflection you intend to honor. Feel tomorrow's peace now, and it will borrow wings to arrive early. Hilda's workshop still stands by the plain. Though the tools have rusted, villagers say at certain hours all the clocks strike together once noon. Midnight, morning, dusk singing one note without disagreement. They call it the moment without edge. Should you hear that note, smile. You have caught your future remembering you before sleep. Breathe and say, I am already there. You will dream not forward but inward into the eternal present, where every timeline waits for your gentle signature of belief. As you turn from these final pages of remembrance, a deeper certainty awakens in the quiet center of your being. The wisdom you sought was never hidden, only patient, waiting for the rhythm of your readiness. Like a door that was never locked, it opens inward. The forbiddance dissolves. Only the familiar remains. From the first vibration to this closing stillness, every lesson you met has pointed homeward, to the knowing that consciousness was never outside you. Each word has been a mirror reminding light of its own reflection. Thought moves. Emotion colors. Action seals. Together they reveal creation's simplest code. ***. You are the pattern and the power. ***. What unfolds within this realization is both exquisite and ordinary. The same intelligence guiding galaxies whispers through a sigh, a heartbeat, a choice made with kindness. You no longer chase miracles, they rise naturally from the atmosphere of your awareness. Reality is your language spoken in frequency. The universe listening through your honesty. These 15 transmissions are not theories to archive but living geometries to inhabit. The technique was never the teacher. The alignment was? Seeking dissolves into being. Being into gentle mastery. You see now that every probability already hums in the field around you, awaiting your permission to appear. Creation needs only your consent of recognition. So breathe once more, not to draw life in, but to notice it flowing through you unhindered. Every inhale is a promise kept. Every exhale, a world delivered. Let this remembrance settle in bone and breath. You are not becoming powerful. You are remembering that power never left. Stand as artist and pigment, echo and origin, dream and awakening. The current of manifestation moves through you as oxygen through flame, effortless, luminous, continuous. This is not an ending. It is the steady dawn of you as consciousness in motion, forever translating invisible love into visible form. If this work resonated with you, there is one more doorway waiting, another journey I have chosen specifically to expand this light within you.